Hi,
Hi,
Kate. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Valerie?
I'm great, thank you. I'm so glad that you agreed to do this interview. I think it's so important, and I was really excited to get to know you. So thank you.
No, thank you so much for asking me to be part of this conversation. So really appreciate it. Thank you
So
so much.
Kate, introduce yourself and tell everybody kind of what Kate Wren Flowers is about.
Yeah. So Kate Ram Flowers, I'm Kate, obviously, based in Bedford. It's about 50 miles from London. I'm not a London girl, so it's kind of outskirts. But I've got the best of both worlds. One in an hour I'll be in London, and in an hour I'll be out of London. So which is good. So I am kind of new florist. I've been a florist since 2018 December, really. So I'm kind of a newbie in the business. My started, I've always loved flowers ever since I was young. But then when it came to choose a career path, I went with my heart, I mean, with my head.
Yeah,
Growing up, you had to be either an accountant or doctor
yeah,
or yeah, I chose, finance. That's where I ended up doing for a number of years. But as I worked in finance for a number of years, flowers were still part of my blood because growing up, I grew up in Zimbabwe in Africa, and I grew up the garden was my happy place. So every time you'd see me in the garden, and we used to grow a lot of marigolds. Not sure if you're familiar with marigolds, the yellow ones.
yeah.
So
They're actually, yeah, we're getting
that's
some African marigolds and
yeah,
French. So yeah, I
yeah.
love
So
them.
that's what I used to. That's what we had in our garden because the climate was it's conducive for marigolds. And then in 2017, I was kind of planning for my own wedding. And as I was planning, I was like, oh, I want to do my wedding flowers. And then I was like, surely no, you can't do your wedding flowers. And then I went to Cambridge Flower School. I did some courses there. After that, after my wedding, I ended up not doing my wedding flowers because there was no way I was
Yeah,
going to be able to do my own wedding flowers. It's just too much, and you need, the skill to be able to make your wedding or your own wedding flowers. And then I ended up going back again to Cambridge Flower School to keep on, perfecting my craft.
yeah.
And then in December 2018, I kind of launched my little business. That's how I started.
So, what do you think gives you inspiration other than your African marigolds and your and growing up in Africa? What do you think kind of gives you the inspiration? I mean, your website is super pretty. Um,
Thank you.
so, kind of tell me a little bit about that, like what inspires you and what makes you the way you are.
So here, what inspires me are the English gardens. So in most of my spare time, I go to, the one garden nearby. It's called Rest Park here. The gardeners, they work, you know, the way they design their flowers. I that's where I get a lot of my inspiration. There's so
Yeah,
a lot of English gardens. They use a lot of color in them, and the way I mean, because I don't know how they do it. So when I go there, I just look. I'm like, okay, they've designed their gardens like this. Okay, what if I design my own flowers like this? How is it gonna work? So for me, I think it's because I've always loved flowers. Flowers have always been in my blood. I did not find it that difficult to be able to get into the
yeah,
creative space. To me, it just happens naturally. So yeah, that's yeah. I find even myself, I don't know how I do things sometimes. So it's
yeah,
just kind of the creative side. I think it's always been with me, but
yeah,
I did not realize I had it in me until about a year and a half ago. So
yeah.
it becomes naturally to me.
Yeah, I think when you have it, you have it.
Yes,
And
yeah,
whether you discover it at a young age or if you don't
yes,
discover it until, a little bit later, I think you
yeah,
always have that, like that artistic, creative
yeah,
flair.
yeah.
Um, what do you think, what do you think is one of your hurdles that you've had to overcome? in your career?
My hurdles was I found a lot of kind of couples, they did not believe that the work that I did was mine. They
Oh,
thought, yeah, they thought I was working for somebody else. So I used to go, so yeah, 2019, I went for a lot of wedding shows and they thought, oh, there's just a black girl, working for somebody.
yeah.
And you'll be talking to them like, oh yeah, I love the flowers. Oh, the design is really well. It's really good. So I'm like, and then they'll ask, oh, so where's the florist? And I'm like, I'm here.
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, really? So I, yeah, they did not believe that the work which they saw
Yeah.
was mine. So I think they're not used to see, a black florist in the space. So that was most of my hurdles. And some of them, you would speak to them, and after that, they'll not want anything to do with your flowers. So that's been one of the major
Yeah.
hurdles that I had to face. But the few that I found, oh, I'm so grateful for those that I that I
Yeah.
worked with. So fantastic. So the ones who didn't want to work with me, they were the ones who worked with me. I
Right.
really, really appreciate. Yeah, and
Yeah.
some of them they've become my friends. So the negative, they've been outdone by the positive. So
So that must be really hard for you to not have that validation
yes.
with your craft.
Mm.
Um, so do you think just you being Kate and being positive and just kind of like, okay, they're lost, I'm gonna move on.
Yeah.
You think that like,
It
uh,
affected me, emotionally at some point. I was like, oh my goodness, shall I go back to, to corporate and
yeah,
just do what's doing, finance, just tap the computer and get on
yeah,
with it. But my husband and my daughter were like, if this is exactly what you want to do, you're going to find the hurdles. Everywhere you're going to go in life, you're going to
yeah,
find hurdles. Just go for it anyway. And I kept on going, and that ended up meeting up kind of fantastic. One of the mentors, she's called Sabine Darrow. She's the one who was like, Kate, I know you can do it.
yeah,
Just go for it. So, whenever I would go for, CPD to her, and she would just lift me up like, you will do it. She's taught a lot of florists. She's like, I've taught a lot of florists, and you've got there's nothing that they can do that you can't do. So I just want you to go for it. And so she gave me that confidence to just keep
yeah,
going, my family, which was really fantastic.
yeah. That's amazing.
Mm,
Um, Kate, I know we talked a little bit about COVID
yeah.
before we jumped on here, but uh, since COVID hit, have you had to, pivot your business or try to go a different path? How are you adjusting to it and your business?
Yeah, so how I pivoted, I started selling everyday flowers. So everyday flowers, birthdays, and a lot of kind of orders I was getting there for people who were kind of self-isolating. Um, so that they are every day, because I just used to deal with weddings and events only. So I had to pivot into everyday, flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you have any exciting new projects coming up? You working on
Yeah, so
anything?
yeah, I am. So I've got a rental company for, yeah, a
I
rental.
actually didn't know that. Usually I'm pretty
Yeah.
good, like I do my homework, but I did not know that. So yeah, gosh, tell us about this rental.
So I've got a rental company, which I started last year. So how I got about it is whenever I was kind of making my florals, yeah, I've got my florals, and some of the vases I would not be able to find the good vases which my clients wanted. So I
Yeah,
had to kind of dig around and look for props to use. So I was like, okay. So my mission now is to go and look for props for my customers and my clients. So that's how I came about this rental. So I'm going to be doing kind of vases. So it's going to include
nice.
cutlery and plate charges. So that's another kind of pivoty side of things, but I did it
Wow.
before the COVID side of
Yeah,
things.
yeah. So you're going
So
to be
that's,
doing everything from soup to nuts, right?
Yes, yeah.
Well,
So
that's
it's exciting
great.
and scary at the same time. But I'm excited because that's what I'm focusing more on now. So
Yeah,
hopefully things will pick up. I just can't wait for the weddings to start again, and
yeah,
then we can put in some magic in there. Yeah.
yeah. So, what advice can you give young people of color
Hmm.
um, to sort of come into the floral industry, explore the
Yeah.
floral industry,
They need
check
to give
out
it
the
a
floral
chance.
industry?
Yeah, they need to give it a chance. So I think the thing is, they have not seen a lot of kind of people of color in that
Yeah,
space, so they did not associate themselves with the industry. So yeah, the advice I can give them is to give it a chance. It's one of the most fantastic, industries to work. I mean, this is somebody's who's worked in finance for a long period of time. So to be doing, I mean, to be working with flowers, yes, it's hard work, but it's
mhm,
so fulfilling because
yeah,
you've got a flower and then you make a design into it. It's so fulfilling, and seeing the customers and the couples and the clients happy. I mean, that cannot be taken away. So
yeah.
yeah, give
Yeah,
it a
it makes it
try.
all worth it, doesn't it? When you see that
Yes,
bride and hand her her
definitely.
bouquet or
Yes,
deliver that arrangement. Yeah, it's an
yes,
incredible
definitely.
feeling. Yeah.
Definitely. I had one of the customers who was like, "Oh, I haven't spoken to my wife for a long time, but when she received the flowers, she was so happy.
Oh,
She hasn't talked for a long time." I was shocked. I was like, "Oh, wow." So flowers really bring joy to a lot of people. So, and they're personal as well. And when people are, whether people are happy or they're sad, it just bring joy and happiness. So yeah, they should give it a try.
yeah, for sure. Kate, on
Mm.
your blog, I think it's the blog post, Ec- Eco Floristry. You mentioned that you started using, stopped using floral foam,
Yes,
and you were kind of exploring different sustainable ways to work and prevent, your carbon footprint and whatnot.
yes.
And then for
Mm.
anyone who doesn't know, floral foam is phenol and formaldehyde.
Yes.
So it's not great stuff.
No.
And we've been using it for years, but
Mm.
this whole sort of new florists coming in now are really watching their carbon footprint. Tell us a
Yes.
little bit about how you do it.
So most of my designs, I use chicken wire and water sources. So if I'm doing a small arrangement, whatever vase, I'll put chicken wire, or sometimes I use what they call a cabana. Um, it's a metal sort of thing that you put in a vase, and
Yeah,
then you just start designing your flowers. It's so easy to make. For I've used floral foam, but then when I started using the chicken wire and the cabanas, it was kind of it's. I mean, the designs are so free and kind of they look like they're just coming from the ground, which is so fantastic. The
yeah,
same is even the pillars or even the mantelpieces. It's all chicken wire.
yeah,
It's all chicken wire, and just put with the water in there and just making sure not everything is tucked in and it doesn't move.
yeah.
Um, and those designs, they can spend 24 to 48 hours. So, I would advise people to try it, definitely. For the environment, it's really, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing just when you go from using foam to the chicken
Yeah.
wire, your designs sort of change, don't they?
Yes,
The
definitely.
style and look. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's incredible the different, look that you get.
Yeah.
It's really pretty. And just like you said, it looks like it's just been pulled right from the garden. I love
Yes,
that.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, yes.
Well, Kate, thank you
Absolutely.
so much for coming on here, sharing your story with us.
Oh,
I love
thank
your
you.
website. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty, and your blog is so interesting to read.
Oh,
Um,
thank you very much.
yeah,
Thank you.
I hope we can chat again soon, and
Yeah, sure. Not a
continue
problem
the
at all.
conversation for sure.
Yes, definitely. Thank you very much for having me.
Kate,
Thank you. Bye.
bye.